If you like my art, feel free to check out my Redbubble store for art prints, t-shirts, phone cases, tote bags, and a lot more. Link is in the description box below. Thank you! Hi everyone! So let's make some art for Kattober today. And for you who may have missed it, Kattober is my very own art challenge for October. I got a little tired of the controversy around Inktober and I decided to do my own thing with 31 days of cats. I mean, what else? And many of you guys are also participating and that is just so awesome. I love seeing all the cute and creative cats every day. And if you haven't joined in already, it isn't too late. You can just jump in and participate at any time if you like to. And it doesn't have to be advanced or anything. I mean, just look at my goofy cats. You can use whatever art supply that you like. All I'm asking from you is to have fun with it. Have fun. Joking aside, it is just for fun, just to have something to draw every day. Even if I'm not really participating in Inktober, I'm still doing the prompts or the challenge in grayscale because I don't do that very often and I do really enjoy working in black and white. And usually when I participated in Inktober before, I've used a lot of India ink to create ink washes and get this kind of grayish color, but since I'm just doing this with pen, I'm having these gray pens instead to create the ink wash, so to speak, just to get this lovely grayscale vibe that I love in ink drawings. So I'm doing all my Kattober pieces in a normal Moleskine sketchbook. It got this really nice and thick and lovely smooth paper and it got this off-white tint to it. I mean, it isn't like white, so a little bit of a warmer tone. And I love these rounded edges in the Moleskine sketchbook. And as you can see here, I'm doing all the sketches in a red pencil. I love my huge pencil case. It is a Pilot Color Eno mechanical pencil. It got this red lead that is erasable. And I like the red because it pops very nice against the gray, since I'm doing all the thumbnailing on the left pages. Usually when I've done the Inktober challenge in the past, I've done the sketching in a separate sketchbook and then I've done all the refined artwork in a Moleskine watercolor sketchbook. But since I have some different ideas for these pieces, I think it is nice to see my thought process right next to the finished artwork. And then for the line work, I'm using this Pigma Micron PN pen. It is kind of like a fine liner, but it got a little bit of a flexible nib. It isn't a brush pen, but you can still get a little bit of line variation. And then I'm using the Unipin brush pen. This one is a little thicker and a little more flexible, so I use it to give the line work a little more thickness and line variation. And for filling up larger areas, I'm using this Pigma BB pen. It got a very nice and thick and juicy brush nib. And instead of doing ink washes, as I had talked about before, I'm using these gray pens to create this grayscale look. And I'm using the Art and Graphic Twin from Sig Kuretake. They also have this super nice and juicy brush nibs. And of course we have some white pens as well. And these are my all-time favorite, the Uniball Signo gel pens. And I got them in 2 different sizes. Oh, also I use a kneaded eraser to erase the sketch underneath the line work. The line work tend to fade a little when you're erasing on it, but a kneaded eraser is much more gentle. Also, I use this little circle template for some of the backgrounds, like so. And it can also be used as a ruler. Alright, so that is all of that. Now let's do some goofy, adorable cats. Oh, I'm also keeping the prompt list in the back of the sketchbook. So today's prompt is witch/wizard cat, and I will also do grumpy cat and Purrmaid. So yeah, let's get started. Alright, so a wizard kitty it is, and as you can see, I have already made a sketch for this. I wasn't initially planning to make this into a video, but I like to sketch out my ideas a few days in advance just to get my ideas down on the paper, and it also saves me a little time on days when I have less time to work on the challenge. I also like to sketch my ideas before seeing all of the other participants' contributions, just to know that what I create is my own idea. And I'm not saying that you can't be inspired by others. Sometimes it is definitely very good to get inspiration from other artists, but I am just so easily inspired by others is what I'm trying to say, and I just want to see what my own brain can come up with. Not that my ideas are super unique or anything, but anyway. So I actually asked you guys what you were most interested in seeing for today's video. It stood between making some Kattober pieces or testing out the Sumi ink sticks that Kuretake sent me a while ago. And as you may have figured already, Kattober was the most voted on. Then some of you suggested that maybe I could do the Kattober pieces with the Sumi ink sticks, and that is a great idea. However, I have already started this challenge with these supplies that I'm using, and it would just disturb my order if I had used other supplies in the middle of everything. I mean, that is just the way I am. It needs to be cohesive, but I will test out the Sumi ink sticks too sometime now in October, maybe next week or the week after that, we'll see, so stay tuned for that. And I can definitely paint some goofy cats anyway. I mean, don't mind if I do. I mean, who am I to say no to that? But anyway, this little kitty wizard here, he's reading some spells from his books. I do wonder what kind of spell a cat would cast. I mean, maybe unlimited catnip, or maybe how to get his human to feed him more often. I know that Sally would have done that. And I love how focused and intense he looks, so adorable. I've done a lot of circle backgrounds for the previous pieces, so I tried to break it up a bit with a square background this time. And I wanted it to look like there is this shine coming up from the book, like there is this magical glow. And of course his little wizard hat has a lot of stars and moons on it to add to the magical theme. Oh, I should have given him a cape too, that would have been adorable. And I know that some of the prompts, they are kind of similar. We had magical cat in the beginning, and then we have witch and wizard cat, but magical can be so much more than a witch or a wizard, and a witch doesn't have to be magical in that way. But anyway, here we have him, Wizard Kitty. And then we have the prompt Grumpy Cat, and I'm actually doing all of these drawings on the day of the prompt. I'm not doing anything in advance more than the sketching, and I struggled just a little with this one, trying to get the sketch right, and I'm so used to working in Procreate right now, so I feel a little limited sometimes when I can't flip the canvas or resize or move things around. But traditional art is still what I love the most, even if digital art definitely has its benefits, obviously. And one of my first ideas of a grumpy cat is a wet cat, because cats in general don't like to get wet, and if you have a cat yourself, you know the look of a grumpy cat. It is intense. So I put my grumpy cat in a bathtub, and I try to give it this thin look, you know, when they get all wet and the fluffiness of the fur disappears and they get all skinny and thin. So my goal for this challenge that I set for myself is to keep it simple. Usually, as I mentioned for previous Inktober's, I made like full illustrations with backgrounds and ink wash and everything, and it takes a lot of time. I mean, it is a lot of fun, but it is so time consuming. I am a full-time self-employed artist now, which you think would give you more time for art, but oh no, not really. Well, it kind of does, but now in the beginning of starting up a business, it takes a lot of time to focus on a bunch of other things that has nothing to do with art. So I decided to use art materials that are fairly easy to work with, no wet mediums that takes a lot of time to dry or mix, only pens and simple silly illustrations. I wanted to practice more on giving my characters, in this case cats, more different expressions, and I've had so much fun with it so far, and it seems like a lot of you guys are having a lot of fun with it too. It just fills my heart with happiness and joy. I am just so proud of everyone coming up with all of the cute and fun ideas. So here's my grumpy little cat. I think I could have added some more black to this one to give it some more contrast, but I was unsure if I wanted to add more round backgrounds. So I'm just gonna leave it as it is right now, and maybe later I will come back to it if I get some better ideas. In my experience, it is better to let it rest for a bit and then get back to it with some fresh eyes. Then lastly we have the Purrmaid prompt. Purrmaid in my mind is a cat mermaid, and I don't know if everyone knows that though, but if you drew a cat as a regular maid, that is perfectly fine too. It is all about how you interpret the theme and what you create with it. So this turned out to be my favorite of all of these 3 pieces. It is kind of creepy and cute at the same time. I do love the little sketches to the lower left though, the ones with the cat bottoms and the fish heads. I think that's a really silly idea too, and I love it. And that is why I think it is so great to have the sketches collected together with the finished pieces to see what other ideas that I had for the prompt. And since I'm hoping to put this together to a scene when this challenge is over, it is fun to have some additional content, so I will most likely go back and refine some of these sketches. So I'm hoping to do a little tour of this sketchbook once Kattober is over. I mean, everyone will have seen the drawings already. I post them every day over at my social medias, but maybe the additional little sketches will make it more interesting to watch. And I think I mentioned it in my previous video too, but it would be so much fun to pick out a few of your Kattober pieces too and show them for each of the prompt when doing the sketchbook tour. Let me know if that is something you think would be interesting. I tried to give this Purrmaid a more fish-like look with big starry eyes and an empty look, and yes, I am back with a round background again, but I tried to break it up with some seaweed and some bubbles and fish, so it still looks a little more interesting in my opinion. I really like the look of the grey pen mixed with the black and the white. It is a really nice and easy way to add some more texture and shading. I do like using cross-hatching for shading when working with ink and fine liners, but I wanted to try something different for these illustrations. I do use a little bit of hatching in some places though, but I try to keep a cohesive style, you know. I love how the scale on the fin turned out, by the way. I really like the texture. I think all of these pieces turned out so fun and silly, especially this last one. I really hope that you like it too and that you enjoy this video, and I hope you're having fun with whatever art challenge that you're doing now in October, if you're participating in any. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I hope I will see you next time. Keep drawing my happy cats. Bye!